Just because something has a low price tag doesn't mean it provides great value. One of it was kind of surprising, kind of shocking for a software in 2024.
Yeah. I know we're gonna have a lot of like software businesses looking at this as well, and like what we have to say about this. So I just want to pass a message to you. Allow people to try your product before they buy.
Time's up.
Okay.
Time's
I got
up.
a brain freeze there. So I'm really excited about this video we're sharing with you this week because we're diving into a topic that both Kayle and I have a lot of passion for. It's about software and what software you should use in a salon or spa business, because there's a ton of options out there and we get so many questions on this. And it's also something that we have a lot of experience with. So we've been both using different systems and also reviewing systems. You might have seen that on this channel before as well. So what we want to do today is really just try to have a discussion on, which software should you be considering in 2024, and try to detangle some of these like questions and challenges around different software products out there, so that hopefully coming through this you'll have like a clearer view on which platform you should be switching to, or maybe you're just like picking a software for the first time. So as you may know, the Salon Business is a subsidiary of Mangomint, which is a salon and spa software platform, a platform that we really like. And we will be talking about Mangomint today. We'll talk about other platforms as well. And as we go through this, and as we do any reviews about different software on this channel and talk about it in this context, we'll make sure that we share objective information about these different platforms. Our role with this platform is really to provide you with the best information so that you can make a good decision. And that we will do in this video as well.
So what we really want to do today is look at an overarching view, a sort of high-level view of what makes for great salon and spa software. We may not dive into deep detail on each and every option that we've covered on our best salon software article that you'll find on the salonbusiness.com, but we will look at 4 core pillars that we think represent the overarching value that salon software provides. These elements that we're going to dive into today will give you an idea of what the value is of these options. So we're going to be looking at 4 core pillars of salon and spa software. Those are going to include the ease of use and design, the client experience, the pricing and contract structure of them, the features that they have to offer.
So should we start with like pricing? Because like who doesn't like pricing is important, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably everyone's number one concern when they're looking for software.
Is it important actually?
I think it's extremely important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how you would you judge, like if you're gonna buy into a salon spa software, would pricing be the thing that you're gonna look at?
It would be a factor. It would be a major factor for me because, I mean, depending on the size of the business, I think it could be the most important factor.
Yeah.
If I'm, a solopreneur and I'm just starting up, it's a big deal because I may not be able to afford a few $100s a month.
Yeah.
If I'm a bigger business and I've got, 10, 15 stylists, I can afford to shell out a little more because I'm going to get that money back several fold each month.
And I think that's important, but I think another way that is important also to look at pricing is like what do you get for what you put in, right? Ideally, like your software in one way or another like helps you generate more income or like save you time or do other things for you that saves you money or helps you make more money as well. So you need to kind of put that, I think, next to the price tag as well, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just because something has a low price tag doesn't mean it provides great value, right? You could get a bargain bin salon software that might cost you, next to nothing every month, but are you really getting even that your money's worth out of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, but let's go into like some of the players here. Like, who would you say stands out when it comes to like pricing, if that is important?
I mean, there's the obvious standouts. We've got companies like Fresha, for instance, right? Where they're seemingly, at least upfront, there's no real cost to getting started, right? And you're not paying a monthly fee outright like you would with a lot of other contract-based software companies. You are paying them, right? Because they're taking a cut of the money you make. But I think for a lot of smaller businesses, maybe that's sort of an easier jump to make.
Yeah.
Without that initial upfront investment.
Yeah, and I can like that pricing approach because it's like, yeah, you pay for how much you use it, and because basically they charge you if you're like attracting clients from their marketplace, or like if they help you attract new clients, or for like transactions and so on. So like I can appreciate that you only like pay for when the platform brings you value, right? I think the backside is just that it can be a little bit hard to kind of understand what will I be billed at the end of the month, right? Because it's like it's moving. It's not like the same every month. It's moving all the time.
Sure. Yeah, that I think it's always going to be a moving target. It's going to be less than what you brought in,
Yeah.
I'm sure, probably.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's never going to be predictable exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that might be, a challenge for some businesses to handle for accounting or to know what they're going to get exactly on that ticket.
I think there's two other businesses, or like from my point of view, software that should be mentioned here. One is GlossGenius, which I can really admire their pricing model because it's so like transparent and easy. I think they have two plans, if it's 25 and 50 as the time we record this, and there's like nothing else basically, and it's like very easy to understand. I think they have even just one card transaction fee independently on if it's like in person or swipe the card or all of that. They have a very simple model. I can really like that with their pricing, and they also serve more like solopreneur business owners, like low price point. I think they have a role to play when it comes to like that price sensitive segment. And the other one I want to mention is also Vagaro. I think there's like few softwares I've seen that have like so many features where you get kind of access to like so many different things at kind of I think their plans. I think they just took up the pricing. It's somewhere like $25 to $30 a month or something like that. But it's like their entry plans are very affordable, and you still get kind of a lot of things in with that price, I would say.
In our review of Vagaro and some of the content we've done, they really are a bit of like a Swiss Army knife or like a kitchen sink approach. Like you just get a ton of features to play with. And that's great. And not every business is going to use all of them, but at the same time, it's nice to have it. It's nice to have that sort of low entry price point as well. I think in terms of the price sensitive segment, the three competitors that we mentioned today really stand out. And they're the ones getting a lot of attention online. You know what I mean? The ones.
But I think also, to be fair, I think those are the platforms that are more targeted towards smaller businesses or independent professionals, right? If we think about GlossGenius, who did we mention more? Fresha and Vagaro as well, who also have more team support. But because that's the segment they're playing in. Then you have players like Mangomint, Boulevard, Zenoti. Who else do we have that are for the bigger businesses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mindbody and Booker as well. They seem to sort of represent the middle to larger business, right?
Yeah.
Those larger size businesses. And with price tags to match.
Yeah.
And each of them provides a ton of features as well. And as we've said in our reviews, some of them provide better value than others in terms of what you get for your money. But we'll talk more about how that sort of breaks down in different categories as well. But yeah, we have those as well. And like I said earlier, just because something's low price doesn't mean it's going to be a good value, right? There's companies like Mindbody or Booker, which they have the same pricing structure, right? I think they start in the $100 to $200 range, and then it sort of goes up from there in the tiers. And you get more features the more money you pay, right? Which is a little bit different than what we were talking about with that previous price-sensitive tier. And a lot of businesses do use Mindbody and Booker. Booker we see more with salons and spas. Booker was designed for spas initially. And Mindbody we see more with health and wellness businesses, with their support for classes and things like that as well. They both provide value to each of those segments. Do they stand out against the competition versus businesses like newer companies like Boulevard, like Mangomint, who are providing sort of this newer, fresher approach to software? Now, these days, I don't know. Zenoti has their range, right? They target enterprises. There's big businesses, maybe multiple locations. That's sort of been their bread and butter. And that's why they charge as much as they do. But I think that there's companies like Mindbody and Booker that are in a tough spot right now because we've got so many newer companies that are providing good value, that are meeting or beating those sort of price ranges and offering equal or better features and options sort of in that price range. What do you think about that, John?
What it leads me thinking on is also contract, because that's also very different for different solutions, right? Some require you to kind of sign up for a 12-month contract when you join them. So, and some are have no contract lengths. I think maybe let's see if we can remember off the top of our heads which ones are what. But Fresha, there's no contract length to my knowledge. Vagaro is also no contract. You can kind of just leave whenever you want. Mangomint, there's no contract length. You can just sign up and leave whenever you want. GlossGenius would be the same, no contract length. But some of the ones that we were just talking about, Mindbody, Booker, right? We're starting to get into that space where they're requiring you to sign up and commit to a longer period of time.
True.
And I think that comes together with the price discussion, because at the end of the day, it's a financial commitment, right, that you're making.
Absolutely, and you pointed out right there really well that like in that lower price tier bracket, we don't have contracts at all, right? In those three competitors that are really aiming for that target segment. But once we get up into that middle tier and above, that's when we see contracts becoming mandatory for some businesses. So Mindbody, Boulevard, Booker all require a 12-month contract, and that's a huge thing to consider, because you don't really get to try most software before you buy into it. In a lot of cases, like free trials are not as common as they used to be. I know when we were testing some of our software, like free trials weren't an option for us, right? So we had to, you got to invest that money to actually try it out. But when the prospect is, I'm going to be spending $300 to $400 a month every month for 12 months, it's no longer like a try and see if you like it kind of thing. It's I'm committed for a year. Like this is the platform that will run my business for the next 12 months, and I will be paying a minimum of $425 times 12, whatever that is, with incidentals on top, for that privilege. So that's something I think that like makes a huge difference, right? Because I might consider one of those brands, but if I'm stuck on a contract, that makes me take a step back, especially if I can't try it before I buy it.
All right. So shall we try to like conclude on the whole pricing thing? What should like visitors or like viewers here take with as you kind of like explore software on the pricing dimension, let's say? Obviously, there's like clearly very different price points. There's everything from like 0 per month up to, I don't know, 500. But I don't know what the
500 or more, yeah.
So there's like a big, monthly price range there, and typically like the higher prices would be for like bigger teams, bigger businesses, right? And then it's the contract aspect, certainly worth looking at, right? In terms of like what are you committing to if you decide to go with a certain solution, and then overall, like I think just looking at the total price picture when it comes to like transaction fees, add-ons, like everything that goes into that total bill at the end of the month, just like making sure you kind of have a good view of that as you commit to a new software. But like having said that as well, I don't want to like have this discussion being like too price focused either, because I'm really of the opinion of like, if you're a business owner that like looking to grow and expand with your business, we need to have also like an investment mindset of like, investing in what we think is going to help us grow and help us save time, so you can focus on what like matters for you, right? For me, that's even more important than the exact price tag.
If there's anything that we've learned from the contract discussion, it's that this is a forward-thinking process, right? We're looking at this as an opportunity to sort of build our brand or grow our business in a way that another software couldn't provide, right? It's a growth tool, and it's one of the most significant ways that you can interact with your clients, provide a good experience both online and in store, so to speak. So you're absolutely right. Let's talk about our next pillar today. That would be ease of use and design.
So important. So important. No, but I mean, jokes aside, I think it is so important because like you're bringing on new team members, and if your software that you're using is like a little bit clunky and hard to use, it's a pain to like onboard people all the time and to explain how things works. Like if it's not intuitive and easy to use, I think that's a really important aspect of this. Even if you are tech savvy as a business owner, maybe team members are not, and like find that really hard. Right? So you want to make that. That should flow easily. And I think the design aspect as well. Probably in this discussion now, we'll focus more on the like interface for you as a user of the platform, and for your team that are users of the platform. But still, like you're in there every day, you want things to be like pleasant. I'm sure like the business you run, you care about those things, right? That it looks good and it's like, that's important for your brand. So the platform that your team and you are looking at every day should mimic that. It should mirror that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for a very long time, the earlier crop of salon and spa software businesses maybe didn't focus as much on the polish of that experience, and this is in the days before everything was online. It's in the days before everyone was booking appointments online, or you were including things like online booking or those sorts of linked tools on your website. So I don't think it was as much of a real concern back then. But that sort of legacy software vibe lives on in a lot of the software that we've tested. And it shows, and it's not always the best experience. We've talked about that a bit in our reviews as well. We won't go into a ton of detail on that today, but if you look at the individual reviews on the salonbusiness.com, you'll see that as well. Like some of it was kind of surprising, kind of shocking for a software in 2024 that it still felt so 2008.
So who is worth having in this conversation? Like if, looking at from like a design, ease of use, which players should we talk about?
I think we can start with the good, and I think we should also talk about the bad, because that needs to be discussed.
Okay.
So in terms of like design interface and in sort of how that feels, I have to say, like, top of mind, Boulevard sticks out. They're a newer business, and their interface is more modern. It feels more well integrated. I wouldn't say it's like perfect, right? I don't know if any salon and spa software is, but it definitely stands out in terms of like what it offers, especially with things like they have a feature where you can view like your front desk view, where it shows you all of your clients that are not checked in, or waiting in the waiting room, which I think is a really helpful view to have. And I haven't really seen that before in a lot of the other salon and spa software that we've looked at. It was genuinely sort of eye-opening as a tool when we were testing out Boulevard. Like, this is a cool feature to have.
Yeah. But is that a cool feature to have, or is it like, is it intuitive and is it like well designed? What do you think?
I would say it was easy and intuitive to get to, right? It was a view on the main calendar screen. You could take a look at that. It was always within reach.
Yeah.
That's something we look at too, like how many times you have to click to get at something that you really want. And in that case, I would say definitely as an ease of use thing was a good piece.
Yeah.
How about you? What brands stand out to you in that way?
I think the two I want to call out that I think are doing very good here. We need to talk about Mangomint.
Sure.
This is like I think a big core part of what Mangomint is, and like the vision of the founder and everything is like to make salon software invisible, and that like software shouldn't get in your way, but it should be the tool to help you kind of like do all the stuff that you want to do. So this is like really like I think in the bullseye there to like make things easy, make things simple, and I think it's the most well-designed platform. Like if you head over just to like the mangomint.com website and just like you can look through the videos, and you'll see that this is like just from a design and like appearance point of view, I think it's the best. The other platform I want to call out as well is GlossGenius, because I think they're also like they are like really one of the platforms that I feel has understood that we are in kind of a beauty industry. Like you were saying earlier, some of these legacy platforms where you can feel that almost like this was built for computer people. Yeah. It wasn't built for who's actually using it. But I think like GlossGenius is doing that really well, making it very easy for solopreneur, like independent business owners to kind of like get a website and get stuff up in a very easy way, basically with a few clicks of a button, and it kind of looks very beauty everything. So I can really see how that is like appealing to stylists and beauticians and like independent professionals. I think they're doing a really good job when it comes to that.
Yeah, GlossGenius really provides a nice sort of simple branded approach to their, which really fits with the solopreneur, right? Like they may not have a website set up, they may not have detailed branding, they might have a logo or something, but GlossGenius really allows you to sort of take what little you have and use their tools to sort of build within their ecosystem, right? And it works best within their ecosystem, obviously. But to your point, also with Mangomint, I have to agree. Like their design, their interface, you can tell that it was a point of pride, right, to design it the way it was. It was meant to be easy to use. It was meant to be intuitive. Everything is within a click or two away. We talked about that earlier. Like how far do you have to go to get to what you want to get to? Nothing feels challenging or difficult to get done, right? You're not going to get frustrated with it. Now, unfortunately, that's not the case for every piece of software. So let's talk about maybe some of the ones that we tested that didn't really shine for us, or maybe we felt like were a little bit difficult to sort of get the hang of.
Yeah.
Notoriously, in a couple of our reviews, I was not fond of Booker's interface. I've used Booker professionally in a few salons over several years, and it was not my favorite experience. It was a bit clunky. The menu system reminds me of like a very Web 2.0, early 2000s, like GeoCities website kind of thing, where it's just hyperlinks on a page. You kind of have to dig around for what you want sometimes, right? And that's not to say that Booker doesn't work well or doesn't get the job done. Like sure, but there were just some ease of use or or intuitiveness, I guess I should say, elements that didn't stand up. And I felt that in my salon. I had situations where like the system would go down and I couldn't check out clients. Or I needed to find a particular setting in a menu for some reason. I couldn't find it. And so maybe I needed to get a hold of them and I couldn't get a hold of them. And I think that plays in ease of use as well. Customer service kind of like, hey, if you can't make something work, can you get a hold of somebody to make it work? So that was, I've had my issues with Booker in the past. Mindbody I found to be, like, I understand that the features are intended for a health and wellness audience, but it sort of suffers from that same sort of legacy software syndrome where things are like, they were planted in the ground where they were and that tree will forever be there. And if you need to find it, you're going to have to dig to get to those roots, you know? So that was sort of the experience there. Now, Booker and Mindbody are under the same roof now. They're owned by the same company. Mindbody owns Booker, I should say. And I don't expect that we're going to see some like revolutionary new changes to that sort of design, although they are adding things here and there. But if I have to be the bad guy today, those are the ones that stick out to me as a little bit painful to work with.
And then there's a lot of other players, right, that we didn't touch on now, that I think is doing a pretty good job. I think Fresha is one. It looks nice, and I think it's like, it's like from a design ease of use, definitely works really well in that regard. Even Vagaro, I think their interface is okay, and they have a lot of features and have a lot of stuff that are in there. I think sometimes to the expense also of like a little bit of like load time and like when you click around in the software that I can get a little bit frustrated with. This like spinning wheel they have. We haven't talked about Square, and Square have the Square Appointments product that is designed also for like salon and spa specifically, or like service provider businesses. Especially when it comes to like the point of sale units and the hardware, I think actually Square, to me, stands out with like the best looking hardware.
Yeah, it is very modern, it's very clean, and it's pretty simple to use especially.
Yeah. So I think, if that is something that is important to you, like I think, Square has a nice range of hardware. I think when you go into the back end, it's like, design-wise, it's okay. I can find it a little bit difficult to understand like how things hangs together, because it's a little bit more of a complex universe of products that sits in there with like different apps for different things. So it takes a little bit of time to kind of like understand how to sort of navigate around there as a user, I find. Not terrible, but it's some things are not fully intuitive, I would say. But yeah, from a hardware point of view, I think they're doing really well.
Yeah, and Square kind of has like a Lego approach to their software, right? Because they have so many products at this point, you kind of connect the ones you want and use those. I think overall Square, stands out as one of those sort of like newer players in the space, just like Fresha does and Vagaro a bit as well, where like you can tell it's newer. It feels newer than some of the legacy software we've seen. You know what I mean? It feels different than using like Zenoti, which is another one we kind of touched on, but we didn't really dive in too deep. Zenoti does feel a little bit more like that legacy sort of vibe as well, where everything is very simple and text-based, and perhaps has the strangest default calendar that I've ever seen with a salon or spa software, with the sort of horizontal timeline layout rather than a vertical one, which you can change, you can alter it how you like. But I remember that being surprising when I dove in there as like an initial impression of it. But yeah, I think that covers all of like the major players I think we've talked about so far.
I think like coming back to where we started, like design, usability of the product, I think are really important things that we should really like carefully look at. It's also easy for you, at least for those who provide a free trial, to actually like go in and to click around and to understand those things, and like, is it intuitive, good ways to get it. So I think it's like one thing that is important for you to do, basically, as you choose your software, get access to it. Like get to play with it a bit and feel like, does this work for me? Do I quickly understand? Or are you struggling? Because if you're struggling, it's like your team will struggle as well, and it's going to be a little bit painful. So yeah.
And I mean, you're not going to get that opportunity with every piece of software, unfortunately. Not every software offers a trial for you to try it out first. So do your research, go online, check out tutorials if you can, find out what options are available to you to get as much intel on that software as you can before you dive in. Especially if there's a contract.
I know we're gonna have a lot of like software businesses looking at this as well and like hearing what we have to say about this. So I just want to pass a message to you as well. Allow people to try your product before they buy, before you force them to buy.
It's highly important, I think if a product is good enough, it stands up with the trial, right? You're going to get the impression of what it looks like, and you're going to win more people over than if they buy in and they find out they don't like it and they're stuck. You know what I mean? That's just a recipe for not a great experience in my opinion.
So the next thing I want us to dive into is the client experience. So I think when we talked about like ease of use and design and stuff, we're focused on like you as the user of the platform and your team. But if we think about the end user, like your clients, like what's their experience like with this one?
There's 3 things that stand out to me off the top. Obviously, online booking is huge, making sure that that's a seamless experience. Client communication, like obviously notifications are a big part of it, but being able to sort of respond and say like, oh, I need to reschedule, or oh, I need to change my appointment. Being able to sort of have that 2-way communication between the business and the client is important as well. And beyond that, I think we're sort of seeing this wave of service customization now being available, where clients can sort of like pick and choose and like almost like Chipotle order their services when they book online.
Yeah.
That's become like really popular in 2023 and 2024, and we're seeing that more and more and more now. So those 3 off the top.
So like add-ons and adaptations of the services they
Yeah,
provide.
sure. Maybe I want to go to massage, but I want to add hot stones or something, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I think there's so much to this, right? Obviously, like the software touches your clients in many different ways. So, like when it comes to the online booking experience, I believe like the 2 things to me that stands out there is like, can you integrate online booking with your brand, i.e. like on your website? Can you make it part of that like brand experience that you provide? I think that is an important one. Some software do that and some don't. Mm-hmm. I think the other one to consider is also like some software, in particular those that have like a marketplace, or it would really be those that have a marketplace component, would require users to like create an account with them before they can book.
It's not my favorite thing. I feel like, you know, as few obstacles as you can put between the client and the business as possible, the better.
Yeah.
So, you know, signing up for yet another service and giving your information, not something that I find ideal.
No, and I think, you know, because that is indeed an important part, right? If you're investing in whatever, ads and marketing and stuff to get people to your site to book with you, and then there's like putting these like sticks in the wheel or like obstacles in the way, right? When it comes to like integrating the booking experience, who's doing a good job here?
There's a few standouts. I think we have a lot of the newer salon and spa software companies that are doing a great job of integrating directly into your website, right? Which to me is the ideal way to have online booking work. Now, that is with a caveat, right? Like obviously being able to integrate it into your site, it should also look branded, should fit your vibe and look good. But it should be sort of seamless. And I think we have a sort of a divide between how online booking works right now, where we've got some companies who are doing, you know, integration of a booking widget on your site, and we've got some that are doing, you know, it when you go click a book now button that is on your website, it takes you to an external page. And that external page typically lives on the server of that salon and spa software company. You know, it'll be the URL will have their name in it. You know what I mean? So it's taking you off site. And to me, that's not ideal. Obviously, that's, again, we talked earlier about putting as few barriers between the client and the business as possible. And I think going to a third-party website kind of does that a bit as well.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got, you know, an integrated booking widget, it's something that fits in with your brand, what you're going to do.
Yeah. Let's get a bit more like software specific.
Sure.
Because the ones that comes to mind to me that is doing this well would be, I think Vagaro does this well. They have quite a sophisticated like widget that you like piece of code basically drop on your website that allows people to like book services, even book with specific members of staff, even like buy gift cards and like stuff like that as part of this like embedded experience on your site, which I think is good. Square has one as well that you can embed. I think it's like less you can customize there, so you kind of need to live. I think you could change the colors of the book, you know, the button. There's some things you can do, but last time I used it, it was a bit more like limited in terms of like how flexible the design was, but you can integrate it. We have Mangomint, of course. So Mangomint has like a different approach. So instead of like adding a script that makes it like part of the site, inside the site, it has this like overlay that basically like when you click the book now, it like slots in on top of your page. The good thing with that is that it doesn't like mess with the design, right? Because if you have something in the content and your other things on the side, it can get messy, and you at least need to spend a bit more time on like the development work to get that right. Whereas, this one kind of comes out on top and offers like a seamless like brand experience as well.
Yeah, you don't have to be a tech wizard to be able to sort of integrate Mangomint's widget onto your page.
No.
It also has some pretty detailed customization options as well, so you can sort of make it fit with your brand on your page.
Yeah. GlossGenius is taking also like a different approach where because they're more targeted to independent professionals and solopreneurs, right? And they're offering this tool to like create a website for them with like the booking experience always like built into that like GlossGenius website. I think those website looks really nice, and it's like if you're an independent business owner, you want to get a website quick, super easy tool to use, and you have it like right embedded there. But if you have a different website or something, you would still need to link to like your GlossGenius site, so it kind of becomes a separate one that sits on the like GlossGenius domain. I think also Fresha, who is a marketplace, they also like rather than having the ability to integrate on the site, you link out to your like Fresha profile page or like booking page that sits on like a different URL.
And then I think the other one we haven't really touched on so far would be Zenoti, where you have like a branded page that lives on Zenoti's servers, right? So same kind of deal there. That's sort of the halfway approach. It gets to be branded, but it's not on your site. So there's a full gamut of what you get there. We really do have some standouts that really do it well, like you said, like the Vagaro option is kind of nice in the way that you can customize it. Mangomint is obviously really cool and dynamic, and provides a bit of a really integrated experience as well. But you have a lot of options, and it isn't really like necessarily relegated by price. You know what I mean? It's not like only the most expensive options have the good online booking experience. You kind of see that it's mixed.
Next, we talked about also like notifications, and obviously all of the software we would be looking at that is like on our list here that we're talking about would have notifications, right? It's kind of a standard today to be able to send out an SMS after you book. But I think some are like adding a little bit more sophistication to that, allowing you to like reply to that message and have like personal conversation also with the business, and who are like, I think, taking just notifications a little bit further, also allowing you to like customize what you actually say in those and when you send them and how long time in between. If you want to include a link to go review us on our web, on whatever your Google profile. So some go a little bit further, I would say, when it comes to like notifications and what you can do with them.
Yeah, you have some definite standouts there. I mean, notifications are table stakes at this point. Like you need to be able to notify your clients of when their appointments are, and usually give them an option to reschedule or cancel or whatever. Sometimes it's a little more rigidified, you know what I mean, where the options are only to like click this button to go here and do this thing. But I think the real standout is when you see businesses who are implementing like true two-way communication, right? Where it's basically like a chat, right? It's like a text conversation. And we've seen, Mangomint has made strides with that in the past couple of years, where they have that they've implemented two-way texting, and it's very intuitive, very seamless, in an effort to sort of streamline client communication and take it off of the individual stylist's phones and integrate it into one professional app, that kind of thing. Boulevard has an option for that now as well. We see that with like Zenoti has an add-on for two-way communication. Mindbody and Booker have their own implementation of it now as well.
So more providers are starting to offer that now.
More providers are offering that. I mean, it's 2024, so I think it's just kind of expected that that's an option now.
Yeah, I think it's like when it comes to just marketing and communication with potential new clients, existing clients, like being able to have that like personal one-on-one type of interaction is becoming more important. Like people don't accept just to be like blasted with email campaigns, right? But they want to have like a personal type of interaction. So.
And businesses want to be able to control the communication with their clients, right?
Yeah.
For the longest time, salons and spas have been sort of low-tech spaces, for lack of a better term, and communication largely took place between the individual service provider and the client. And that sort of cuts out the business in being able to sort of manage client relationships and handle that sort of thing. So while the business is sort of an intermediary there, they don't necessarily have ownership of the clientele. And a lot of business owners have told me about this, how it's frustrating for them to, they're concerned maybe about a service provider taking their clients and bailing, right? And then they're left in the lurch in that situation. So being able to sort of set those expectations, manage that conversation, that relationship, and retain that data is really important for a lot of business owners. And we're seeing that, that is obviously an element of being able to sort of incorporate all of that communication there. So I think we're going to see more and more businesses implement it. For the ones that we've talked about earlier that haven't yet, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we saw it released this year or next year. It's going to be crucial for any salon and spa software going forward. I think it comes down to what we said earlier, right? That client experience piece should be seamless. It should just feel natural. I shouldn't ever, as a client, feel frustrated by having to go fumble for information that I don't have at hand. I should be able to do everything I need to do on my phone right now and be done with it. Right? It should be as simple as sending a text or clicking a link.
Yeah.
So if it's not that, I would argue in today's day and age, in 2024, it's not the best client experience, and it's something that we should...
Totally. So, like, I think, like, when you evaluate the software you're going to go with, make sure you, like, not only look at the back end, right, but, like, put yourself in the shoes of the client, and, like, what's my experience? And even for those that we talked about earlier, that it's not allowing you to trial the software, still the booking experience you can try, right? Just finding another salon or a spa business who is using that software and, like, just play around with it a bit to understand what it's like for your client. So that's client experience. There's obviously like a lot of things we could go in here, as we said, when it comes to like the booking flow. You talked about add-ons and customization of services, like what can you actually do through that booking flow. We can get really detailed here, and that's why we also do this like individual reviews of different systems, because it would basically not be manageable to do that in this video. So check that out. We have them on the YouTube channel here, or head over to thesalonbusiness.com, and we also have our, like, we put links in the description to the video where we go like in depth on different features and compare software and like get much more granular basically. So we're at the most exciting part, which is features and what you can do with these different platforms, right? So we want to dive into this, and there's just so much in this area, right? There's a lot of these players that we're talking about have been around for a long time, introducing new features all the time. And yeah, there's a lot that we can cover. So maybe before we start talking about different solutions and what they offer and like maybe who's stronger with regards to like their feature offer, I wanted to like cover like what features you should expect from salon software. I'm gonna do a little game with you.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So if we do this, you know, you need to name a feature that you should expect in a software.
Okay.
And I have 2 seconds to name another feature, and then you get 2 seconds to name the next feature. And we'll see how far.
This is a surprise for me. Okay, that sounds great. Let's do this.
We'll see how far we get.
Okay.
Because if we cannot come up with it in 2 seconds, it's probably not a super meaningful feature. Okay. So I'll start.
Okay.
Payroll.
Ooh. Online booking.
Client management.
Okay. Two-way texting.
Checkout.
Reminders.
Gift cards.
Booking interface calendar.
Memberships.
Oh, memberships is good. A website builder.
Okay. Email marketing.
Inventory management.
A loyalty program.
Ooh, we don't like loyalty
No,
programs.
we don't like loyalty programs. But it's good enough for the competition.
Yeah, I guess POS hardware. Did we say POS hardware yet?
No, but you just said it, so it's great. Two-way.
Time's up.
Okay.
Time's
I got
up.
a brain freeze there.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that covers, I think, a lot of the ones that are the most important right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ones we talk about. I think we should talk about which ones are trending, right? Because we see that there's sort of seasons of where things become a thing, and then they are now table stakes, right? They're required. Back in the day, online booking wasn't really a consideration. Now you're a joke if you don't have it, right? So I think every few years we sort of see new things come along, and the pace has increased recently, where we see these business-oriented features becoming normal. So I think maybe the first one you mentioned, payroll, that's become a must for many salon and spa software that we've seen in the last year or so. GlossGenius is now rolling out some payroll features that's either coming soon or it's just been launched. And GlossGenius has sort of been trending towards like bigger and bigger businesses, whereas they used to just be individual service providers. Mangomint's payroll feature rolled out, I think, end of last year or early this year. That one's fantastic as well. We're seeing more and more businesses sort of roll that out as a must, and either incorporating with the third-party payroll processor that they're sort of building into their software. Let's face it, everyone's got a back end. Some financial institution's helping with that. But that's a thing. I mean, that for 2024, I feel like that is the feature that we're seeing as like the highlight feature and the most important for a lot of software companies.
The thing that sticks out to me isn't really a feature, but it's more so like the ability to actually leverage other systems and tools in your business. So basically what I'm talking about is integrations, and whether the platform offers like the ability to integrate with other tools, which is typically something I think we see more of in the you know, the tools that serves bigger businesses or like businesses with a team and a little bit more sophisticated solutions, which allows more for that than, you know, for smaller businesses.
Yeah, and I think that some of the, you know, lighter weight software, you'll see sort of lighter integrations as well. You're not going to see as big a breadth because it's not designed for tying into those enterprise level necessities, right? You know, I think like a lot of brands will see incorporate like MailChimp, right? Just because it's sort of a very common marketing platform, and if you don't have marketing, you know, tools built into your software as a feature, a lot of businesses will default to that as an integration. But we're also seeing a lot of businesses incorporate direct marketing tools within their software now. Yeah, you know, I think 2023 was a big year for that. We started seeing all of the major software players incorporating an in-house marketing suite built into their software. But yeah, integrations, I agree, are huge, and they do vary by the tier of, you know, service business that you're appealing to as a software company. Yeah,
because I think like the system you choose to go with, right, becomes very like core of your operations, and it's part of everything. It holds all your client data and, you know, transactions and all of that. Picking a software that don't allow you to integrate with others, I would feel uncomfortable with that, because I don't know really what the future holds, and maybe there's like some specific need I have for some specific thing in a few months or years from now, right? And having the ability to integrate with other solutions, I think is powerful. Even if like the features are getting more sophisticated, specifically if we talk like marketing features that are like built in to the platforms, they are getting better and are getting more sophisticated. In many cases, there could also be like, for like these specific things that you need, it's actually better to use like another platform that does this job better. Like the obvious one for me would be like a website builder. Like some platforms offer like a built-in website builder. Many times I think it's like, it's kind of limited. Like it's hard to compete with like whatever, the WordPress, the Squarespace, the platforms out there that really specialize in this, right? So in those cases, for me, it's like more important to being able to integrate with those third-party tools to like do that for you versus having that necessarily built into the platform. I think it's just hard for like a all-in-one software to be like excellent at everything, right? And if you want excellence, you might need an integration in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of brands trying to sort of do the kitchen sink approach, where they throw all the features they can in there. Some of them work great, some of them are just okay. Yeah. And I think in that sort of situation, sometimes things just feel a little bolted on. I guess I should say it's important for you as a service business to look at which integrations are offered and if they fit with where you're at in your business journey right now, right? Are they offering sort of like startup-oriented integrations, right? Like, you know, sort of the scrappier, you know, ad hoc things. Can you work with MailChimp? Can you work with QuickBooks? Something like that, right? So yeah, so maybe for, you know, larger businesses, maybe like Zenoti comes to mind, right? They integrate with like SmartCart or like Xero or like a few other, you know, in other businesses, other software companies, they're specifically oriented towards bigger businesses. You know, I think some of the other companies we've talked about today, maybe they integrate with like ADP, like Mindbody comes to mind for that, right? A huge payroll processing firm, as well as like ActiveCampaign they chose to go with instead of, you know, like maybe like a MailChimp or something like that. So yeah, that's sort of like a higher tier of sort of that like marketing or payroll integration. So basically, long story short, there is, you know, make sure that the company you're going to go with is going to fit your brand where you're at, and keep in mind that you want to grow with them. See if they've got room for you to grow.
And like I think any integrations is one, and some offer even like custom integrations, right? So they can help you set up like with whatever software you need. It's not just their pre-built ones. Right. So that is features. Obviously, really important, right? That you have the right capabilities in the tool you choose to run the business the way you need to run it. So you will for sure need to look into that. There's just so much detail. So check out the individual reviews we have on this YouTube channel where we go into specific software and what features they offer. Head over to thesalonbusiness.com. You have like all the resources you need to kind of find out the details and making sure you're making an informed decision. And that wraps up this conversation that we've had here today.
Yeah, I think that's a good overview of the individual, you know, features that are really important. Obviously, there's a ton more we touched on there that we go more in depth on the website, but that I think is a good high level view of what's really important right now, like what we see is really important 2024. for salon and spa businesses.
And this is an important decision, and this is why we wanted to do this walkthrough and kind of like talk about these different dimensions. There's so much more we could be covering here, but I hope that you feel like after following this conversation, you've gotten some like new ways of looking at the choice of which software should you go with, and that there's some nuggets in there, and that you have the right resources also below to go and learn more as you kind of embark on this journey of deciding which software should you go with. Thanks a lot for watching today, and we look forward to seeing you in an upcoming video.